Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. And you can see we're over in Halas. You can see there's a person behind me having just as much trouble getting out of the water as I did on the last video. So I actually don't feel so bad now because that's ridiculous trying to get out of that water over here for whatever the reason is. It's actually a pretty cool zone though. I like it a lot. And let me zoom over here to our character. You can see we're still level 1 and we really don't have very far to go before we get to level 2, but we don't have any more space. So we definitely need to go ahead and sell some of these items and maybe find a backpack. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm looking for a backpack and I'm looking to sell some stuff. I don't know what this guy's looking at. He just came running. It's a cool hat though. I like the look on it. Other than the ski mask kind of look, that's kind of creepy actually. It's you can see his mustache underneath. Not quite sure if that really goes, but that's very, very cool having that little, like a polar bear hat. You would think, though, that if they had the polar bear hat, like the hardest part to make, they would have a tunic or something to go with it that also blended them into the snow, if that's the route they were going. But maybe they wear that hat as just a ceremonial, whatever, I can't speak tonight, but a ceremonial kind of hat to commemorate something, something to do with polar bears. But yeah, I'm not sure what the lore is on these guys over here, so let's go ahead and go into the zone. We're going to be looking around a little bit, seeing what the guys sell. This won't be a complete walkthrough of the zone. Next time I do the complete walkthrough, I want to be able to give you guys a lot of information about the zone and not just, here it is and the way it looks. So I am going to get very familiar with this area on what some of these NPCs are and what they do. Like this one's the banker. So now that I know that, I can go ahead and inform you guys when I do one of those videos. But that's kind of interesting to know he's the banker. I can put stuff in here I want to keep. And you can put up to the 8 backpacks and then fill all those 8 backpacks up. Also, on the shared bank slot, it doesn't work for some reason, but it's still here. And so you can put another 2 additional backpacks on each one of your characters. They can't share between the different characters. That's what it was intended for, but because that's not enabled right now, it gives you basically another 2 empty backpack slots that you can put stuff in. So instead of just 8, now you have 10. So that's kind of cool. Also, the bank is the only place you can come to exchange your cash. If you look over here on my guy, I have 72 copper. It's not because it takes 100 copper to equal 1 silver. No, they're done in 10 increments. So it takes 10 silver to get 1 copper, or 1 silver. Sorry guys. 10 copper to get 1 silver, 10 silvers to get 1 gold, and 10 gold to get 1 platinum. But it doesn't automatically change for you. So I have 72 copper, which is basically 7 silver and 2 copper. And it didn't change it for me. Now I can't click on it and say accept and then change it over automatically. I have to be in the bank to do that. I have to actually be clicked on the bank. And then I can do that. And then I can click it over like this. Or put it in the bank if that's what I want to do. But if I wasn't clicked on the banker right now, that would not work. And so there's going to be situations when you're playing the game where you have 8, 9, 1000 platinum on, or not platinum, but copper on you. And copper weighs quite a bit of weight to it. It has, I think it's like every 100 copper is like 20 pounds or something like that. It's ridiculous. So there will become a point where you will actually delete your copper or give it to somebody else if they want it. But most of the time, people don't want copper. Silver, on the other hand, they may take, and there will become times where you actually consider destroying your silver to make up a little space, because if you get too heavy, your speed will slow down and it will actually get to the point where you can't even move anymore. And so if you're so overweight that you can't move, then there's nothing you can do. You can't clear that space up somehow unless you get somebody to come over and take some items off of you and gate to town and sell them for you. So you're going to have to make some hard choices when it comes to that point, because usually you won't be able to find people who are willing to do that, because that's, they just like delete something and walk back. I mean, people will be willing to help you out with ports and stuff, but they're usually, unless they're really good friends, they're not going to go out of their way to to pick stuff up off your guy and sell it for you and come back and do a whole bunch of trips. It's just it's a bridge too far. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, you'll just have to make some hard choices on that one. So I don't see any backpacks on this character here. So we're just going to go ahead and sell to them. Now, I've never seen a difference on NPCs. If you come into an NPC inside, Halas, all the NPCs in here, other than the ones from your guild, which you might actually have a higher faction with, will give you the same price. The only thing that will affect the price on these NPCs that I've ever seen is your skill level with charisma. The higher your charisma, the more you can buy, or the more items you can buy for cheaper amount, and the higher price that they will give you for the items you do have. So now I'm trying to sell 2 chunks of meat, and it tells you right down here underneath the name, chunk of meat, 1 silver, 3 copper, and that's going to be for both of those. It's adding the total together. It's not giving you the price for each one. So if we click on it, it says how much are we going to sell? 2 of them. And I guess maybe I was wrong, guys. Sorry. So on this version, it is the price for each one of them. So if I do that again, do I have anything like bone chips? 1 silver and 4 copper. So that's 1 silver for each one of those instead of the whole stack, which we're not going to actually sell. Bone chips are used by necromancers and shadow knights to summon their pets, and so they go through quite quickly because when their pet dies, they need another 2 pair to summon. If they zone, they lose their pet. So every time they get to a new zone that they want to put up their pet, if they go to another one, they lose that. And so they go through bone chips like crazy. And a stack of 20 bone chips will sell for about 10 platinum to another player. And 10 platinum is a lot of money at our level. At higher levels, not so much. It's still quite a bit, but it's a little bit easier to get at higher levels. So they don't mind paying that. And right now, to be able to afford the spells that you want to be able to buy, there's really no better way to make that cash. So if you get bone chips, hold on to them, auction them off by doing /OOC space, and then saying, hey guys, I'm selling 2 stacks of bone chips for 10 platinum a piece. Send me a tell. People in your zone usually won't have that kind of cash to spend, but people who are higher level that need those bone chips will come back to a lower level zone, hoping to get a better price on it, because Eastern Commons basically is the place to go. In fact, before I tell you all of that stuff, let's just sell this stuff, and then I'll get into that whole story while we're walking around. Polar bear skin, 1 gold, 8 silver, 8 copper. So yeah, we're gonna sell that. I'm sorry to stop in the middle of it, but yeah, it's a long story. I just noticed, and I'm just standing here looking at this guy while we do that. So we'll sell that as well. But yeah, Eastern Commons is the place to go when you want to buy or sell things. Basically, there's a tunnel in Eastern Commons where everybody sits over there, and they all shout or do OOCs that, hey, I'm selling this item, or I'm looking to buy this item, send me a message. And so everybody who has an item to sell or is looking to buy one is usually over there in that area. I like the sound of it in the back. That's kind of... There's a backpack. So for 5 gold, and we don't have enough. 5 gold, 8 silver, 2 copper. That sucks. Well, we have to go back out and start fighting, I guess. At least now we know where the NPC who sells backpacks is. I do like that noise. I don't know what that is, like a bell. But let's keep looking around a little bit more before we do go back out there. But there's that noise again. You guys will have to let me know if that's too loud. I have my sound turned down quite a bit so that I don't get distracted too much by the sound of the game. Although I do love the sound of the rain and the wind of where the snow area is. So kind of is a shame I don't get to hear it as much. Like right there. I just love that natural wind sound effect, because I've never really had it in real life. I mean, some of you guys are incredibly lucky, in my opinion, to get snow every year. My year is basically 8-9 months of solid summer, and then for 2, sometimes less months out of the year, we get some decent weather with a little bit of cool, where we can go outside in like the 80s or the 70s degrees, and some of you guys get like negative, and so I've never really had that experience, or snow in general. I think it's in like 30 something years the snow has fallen like twice while I've been here, and it's not really even been snow. It's For me, it's always been it falls, and before it touches the ground, or as exactly it touches the ground, it immediately melts. And to me, if it doesn't stay on the ground for more than a couple of seconds, it's not really snow. It's like on the verge, but it hasn't quite gotten there. Nothing even resembling enough to roll up a snowball or something like that. So yeah, I've always enjoyed video games that have snow because it lets me experience at least the best I possibly can. Something I've never experienced, I guess. But I also enjoy the rain. We get rain like crazy over here some days, so not always the same thing, I guess, or for the same reason. I guess let's keep looking around. I don't think we come over here to this side just yet. And I think this zone is actually pretty big, and there may be more sections to it. But it is one of those zones that I never really got to explore very much the first time around. The first time you play a game, your goals are a little bit more different. You're enjoying the game for the first time. You are exploring it, but you do get wrapped up at times in either leveling or trying to get that great piece of armor, or just hanging out with your friends. And so exploring the game and just enjoying every little detail about it is not something you really do the first time around. It's kind of like a movie. The second time around, you start noticing details of the game that you never really got to notice the first time. But yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, I think it's just you're enjoying it a little bit more. You're taking your time with it because you know that you already like it. It's like the first time you run into anything. You're not even sure if you're going to waste the time on getting to know this movie. Do I really even want to know what the storyline is? The acting looks horrible already. So yeah, it's just something you have to, I guess, build a I don't want to say relationship with it because it's a game. It's like a movie. It's nothing. You're not going to have that same thing as a relationship, but it is an impact, I guess, on you. Not really anything good there. Some weird stuff. This is a huge skull. I don't think I've ever seen a skull that big. That can't be an ogre because it doesn't look like an ogre or a troll. Theirs would be a little bit different from that. It almost looks like a dark elf skull, but a huge one. Yeah, that would be huge. That is crazy. Because yeah, look at that. I mean, that's a huge snake as well. And I don't think there's a big snake like that in the game. If I'm wrong, you guys will have to let me know. But I do know they get bigger and bigger. But keep in mind, these guys are barbarians. Barbarians are big as it is. If a dwarf was standing here, I don't even think his head would get up to the shelf right here. And that basically means that skull is the size of a dwarf. That is huge. Yeah, that is a huge, huge head to have on your shelf. And I have no idea what animal that comes from in the game. It'd be a cool one to fight, though. Man, I wouldn't mind running into giant skeletons. They're one of the most iconic creatures in this game. Yeah, we came in here already. Check it out. It's a well. See, now some wells actually lead you to secret areas. And you can jump in them and swim down. And sometimes it opens up into... I think that's the way you have to get inside... where is it? It's not Quainos, is it? I don't remember what the name of the zone is, but over where the humans spawn, they have a little hidden area for the Shadow Knight entrance, the Necro entrance. So, yeah, it is kind of cool that they kind of integrated that into the game. There's some waterfalls that have, secret little areas behind them. But of course it's a secret kind of, basically Easter egg, or, NPCs that you can talk to and maybe sell to a little bit easier and stuff like that. They're not doing it with quests because, again, there's so few quests in the zone, or not in the zone, but in this game. And they did slowly add a few more to it as time went on, but it wasn't until like the later expansions that they actually, went all out. That's a pretty big bear, but it's about average size for a bear's head, I guess, because the bears are freaking huge. Let's see. Large chainmail boot pattern. So if you're into tailoring or things of that sort, you can come over here and buy your stuff. Sorry about that, guys. I had to get some water. My voice was getting kind of sore after talking for so long. But yeah, the trade crafting is kind of a cool little aspect to this game. A lot of the other games that come out, trade crafting is kind of cool, but it doesn't play that big of a role. Like, you will level so fast and get so much good stuff off of creatures that anything that you could make in the time you could make it, unless you just sat there and did so much work on your trade crafting, really wasn't going to be of any use to you at your own level. You wouldn't be making it for yourself and then have that skill to be like, hey, yeah, I'll sell it and or give it away to my friends and things of that sort. But in this one, it did. You level so slow in this game at times that leveling your skill up is not that difficult. It's a little bit more work than you will find in most games, but compared to your leveling, it's a lot less. To give you just an idea of how much leveling, how hard that can be sometimes. But and at the level that you could make it, it was actually useful. You were still wearing the stuff that you could make compared to the stuff that you were finding was around the same equivalent, and sometimes not even as good as the stuff you could make. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a thing that they did in the right combination to make it worthwhile. And once people were doing it for themselves, like if you were going to play a caster and you knew, okay, my guy wears cloth armor, so I'm going to go ahead and just, make cloth armor, and I won't put too much work into it, but I'll do it when I'm bored and I can't find a group. And, I'll be able to have that for myself, because I solo all the time. I think we've already been over here. I'm just going around in circles now, aren't I? Did I come over here? May have missed this area. But once you have that trait and those skills, yeah, I think this is where I'm getting confused. I'm just going around in circles, yeah. Yeah, but once you have that skill for yourself, you're more likely to use it for others, and that really created the economy and a lot of the aspects to the game that brought people together, and it was really cool. I mean, that's kind of like what the feel is now on the server, is that it's almost like the heyday where everybody on here is just playing for fun. Nobody on here is taking it like serious, like you'll find in some other games where they argue about some of the smallest little detail. And there are people who will do that on any game, even this one, but the most part, people are not worried about having that greatest character. If you can have an Iskar or Necromancer, those are both the best race and class to play with that race, because of the natural regen. But nobody will tell you that you can't be in their group because you're a Necromancer, but you didn't pick an Iskar. Nobody's being that ridiculous. They could, and I've seen it in other games where, if you're going to go on raids, you not only have to be, the best geared, but you have to pick the right class and the right race and put all your points into the right thing that they want you to put it into before you can get, into their group and into their raid. And nobody really does that on this one because, yeah, the stats matter, and they matter a whole lot, but the stats are not the end-all be-all like they are in some other games. The stats are just there to prop you up a little bit more so that your own skill level as a person, as the player, can really shine, because a lot of these fights don't have a whole lot to do with how much power you have and how much, how hard you can hit. They have to do with skill. They have to do with timing. You have to know that you can, get that complete heal off on every heal. You got to know when the timers are for your buffs. You got to know when to cure and when not to cure, because the fight lasts for so long in some of these named creatures that it's not about trying to get through the first like 10 or 15 seconds, because that's the end of the fight, so you have to start it off perfectly and you have to end it perfectly. It's more about getting to the point where you need the endurance, you need the long distance thinking, and that's really when skill shines, is when you're doing something not just once, but doing it 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times during a fight. So it's not a fluke if you get it right once. It's not that just, oh, you got it wrong the first time, now the whole thing's scrubbed. No, you got it wrong once, everybody else has to compensate for it, kind of like a baseball team. You know, if the pitcher's not having a good day, everybody else kind of has to compensate and pick it up a little bit more for him. That's kind of how this one was. You actually were able to do that because your character was in depth enough to have that kind of effect to be able to change. And I'm waiting for the little barge to come back, but I figured, this is kind of a nice little image to have up, so you guys can see something. But yeah, it's definitely different in the respect that it's not about button mashing. It's about timing, and it's not about just jumping into a fight. It's about thinking the fight out before you even got to it. And so it does challenge you both mentally and as a person, because you're constantly having to overcome challenges depending on what kind of personality you have. Some people are very solo-ish. They want to stay alone, kind of shy, kind of reserved, whatever you want to call it. And for them, overcoming that kind of negative or something they don't really find too great about their personality, to get into a group can be incredibly huge for them and rewarding too. So it's not just you're fighting with people, you're fighting with people. You got to remember, and I say the same word, but it means something different when you think about it. They're just not random, ghost-like creatures that happen to be able to respond to you. They're actual people with emotions and lives and thoughts on their own, and they're going through their own little different things. So it's kind of cool that you're able to share that with them. If you think about it, and most people usually don't. Just like, oh yeah, he was pretty cool to hang out with, or he was kind of funny, and you never really think about the person on the other end. But on this game, it kind of lets you do that because it was so in depth, and you got to sit there and talk to him for so long. Like the one room I mentioned, a couple times before is the Golden Afridi room, and that's just one of those iconic rooms that I remember sitting there for so long because it did have a downtime on that room. I think the creature spawned like every 45 or 50 minutes or something like that, which was short enough time for people to want to stay there, kind of near the computer. But at the same time, a lot of them would go like AFK and go do their laundry and stuff like that. And then when you got back and you were kind of listening to music or watching a show on TV and waiting for the spawn, sometimes conversations would start, and a lot of times conversations would start, especially about what people were doing and how bored they were and stuff like that. And as the conversation started, it let everybody kind of join in a little bit and get to know each other. And before long, you guys are all sitting there kicking back and doing jokes and things of that sort. So yeah, it was definitely the speed of the game really made grouping and getting to know other people a lot more possible. As I play more and more MMOs out there, some of the little details that the programmers either knew or just got right completely by accident, really start to shine. And you see that if the gameplay is too quick, if it's too easy to kill, I don't think I'm gonna survive this one. I am so dead. Run, no. Okay, so we are definitely gonna die right here, and I'll show you just how much experience we lost. But yeah, I gotta remember to watch out for those spiders. Sometimes they hit really, really hard. Other times not so much, but I think that guy was crushing me for 6 every hit. I don't think he missed once, so I guess we're going to go ahead and end the episode here, guys. Again, if you do enjoy these videos, please hit the like button, subscribe. Definitely helps grow my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. And make sure to leave comments down below. Love to hear back from you, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.